Hi, I'm Paula, and I will be presenting you today design in Mexico throughout history. Okay, newspapers actually started since 1810s, but in 1910, editorial publication in general began to grow exponentially. Um, that set the base for a lot of other design and printings to be made, such as the famous Jose Guadalupe Posada, who created the iconic La Catrina illustration, and many more, like the Loteria illustrations for the newspapers, this publicity, a lot of marketing, songs. He really drew a lot of Catrinas, which was very interesting, but he was a very important figure for design in Mexico at the time, because he was the reference that was spread throughout by the newspapers and magazines. So that was very important. Obviously, he wasn't the only one, but that's the one I wanted to talk about. Then, throughout the 1920s, there was a lot of design going again, and I took El Buen Tono and its marketing strategies using lithography. So El Buen Tono, it was a cigarette factory that had a lot of brands, and since cigarettes were not are still not an essential part of an essential thing you have to buy, they needed to make a marketing strategy to get people to buy the cigarettes. So they did this through great design, stickers, illustrations, calendars, and games in the boxes. So this is one of the examples. I don't know if you can see my clicker, but well, yeah. And then you can say that design as a practice arrived to Mexico because before that it was more like craftsmanship more than design as it is. But starting from 1939 all the way to 1942, Mexico gave asylum to more than 20,000 refugees from the Spanish Civil War. And this action made a great impact in Mexico's history in general, but a lot had to do with the multiculturalism that we experience nowadays still. So in this arriving of the many refugees, a lot of them were famous figures and like very intellectuals, like Luis Buñuel, which was a cinematography director. He was great, a little crazy, but he was great. And here, that's when graphic arts and graphic design as it is rose with artists like Josep Renaud, Miguel Prieto, and Vicente Rojo. For example, this poster for a movie made by Josep Renaud is very famous, and it's very critical of like European style, especially Russian and German style of design. So this is when we can start to see design being made as a practice more than just making things look pretty. Mexican is Mexico in general has a great tradition of doing that. So yeah, this is when design as it is start to become design. And then we take a big jump into 1968 with the first graphic design degree that was implemented in Mexico by the Universidad Iberoamericana. This is a huge step because it's the first time that you can see design taken seriously as a profession. It's the first degree that was open for students to take and to learn about it, and obviously to take a job eventually on it. So this was a huge step, not only for what it meant, but for what it did to people and society. So this changed a lot of the way people thought about design. More than just being pretty, it started to become something that needed to be done, or that had more than the objective to just make things look pretty. So that same year, we have the famous Lance Wyman and his valuable interventions for the Olympic Games in 1968. Before that, he also redesigned the whole Mexico City's metro stations, and his design is very prominent in Mexico in general. I think he's a very he's a very cool designer that Mexicans love. This is very important because it changed the way design was seen in Mexico, especially graphically, because you can see the impact the Mexico City's metro redesign had in society, and how the colors, the figures for people who couldn't read was essential part of it. So yeah. Then I wanted to talk about a little bit about Mexican modernism, or that's a little bit what I call. So we had a lot of great design in the 80s, and it progressed into more like neat lines and more modern figures. I think it's taking from streamline, and I added with a twist because it's always very representative of the Mexican culture, like the Silla Acapulco, this motorcycle that was very famous for drivers at the time. And I can only imagine a kitchen looking like this, but it's really beautiful. And traditional Mexican kitchens at the time, well, taking the modern line obviously, look like that. So I think that's really beautiful and something to be admired about the Mexican design history. More into Mexican design per se. As I said, a lot of design in Mexican is really mixed because it's more of craftsmanship and arts rather than design as a practice. That's, from my take, kind of recent. So what we can see as Mexican design in quotations can be like carved elements, like tortilla presses, piloncillo molds, molcajetes, ceramic pots, and stuff. So carving in general for the Mexican craftsmanship was great elements. Armoires, armarios in Spanish, enormous cabinets for storage in general, which are iconic element in every Mexican household. Same thing as baúles, trunks, iconic elements in Mexican households made with wood. And then we go to doors. So we can see many different types of doors in Mexico, and they all are very iconic. And one of the characteristics you can tell is that they come in pairs, which is quite kind of funny. So then I added this phrase that I'm going to read because I really do find very interesting. So, for centuries, Mexico's compelling colors have provided a vibrant and powerful presence in its architecture and traditional arts, beginning with the pre-Hispanic civilization boldly painted pyramids, colorful murals, and stucco ornaments. Through the Spanish colonial haciendas, awash in deep reds, ochres, and blue. To today's modern houses, splashed with watermelon pink and pistachio green. The color legacy in Mexico is long and rich. So this author states how color and texture is very iconic from the traditional elements in design. And I think, from my take, that just these colors and textures is something that makes Mexican design what it is, and it's something that I believe can be taken more seriously in the future. So from my own design practice, so far what I've been liking the most is theory. And it's not a project, but it's a book that it's called Design, Form, and Chaos. So this basically talks about exploring graphic design challenges and the values behind aesthetics and chaos, the role of intuition, etc. So I think what I would love to do is something like this, to take my practice in design to such a level that I can write something that might be helpful for others, because this talks about utility and beauty to be combined effectively, and I think, well, yeah, I do think that's very beautiful. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Here are my references that I forgot to add the last time I made a video, but here they are, and yeah, thank you.